Well, we are trending in France, I can tell you that. Remarkably, we are not getting any fair coverage from their mainstream media apparatus. Check out all these headlines, man. They are rolling in. They do seem to be a bit panicked. We can also cut over here for the English speakers so you can see these headlines in English. I personally like the one from Nice Matin the best. It reads, "What does conspiracy theorist Candace Owens' absurd and transphobic investigation on Brigitte Macron, which is a hit on YouTube, contain?" I like that they admit that it's a hit on YouTube. And also just a question back to them. How can I be transphobic if Brigitte Macron is not trans? Weird. Also, this other publication that's mentioned here, Marianne, right at the bottom, they may have jumped the gun a bit because it says there at the bottom, quote, "All the contemporary theories are covered: pedophilia, satanic delusions, or even false identity." I haven't yet made any claims about a false identity. Weird. What do they know that we don't know? I mean, it just seems like the press might know something that the public doesn't know. So we should probably find out what that might be. Welcome back to our series, Becoming Brigitte. All right, guys, I have a fun one for you today. We're taking a break from the very dark world of Brigitte. We did not even cover all of the pedophile stories, but we're just going to take a brief break from that. One of the biggest mainstream media lies, okay, is that the rumors surrounding Brigitte were developed by far-right conspiracy theorists. They keep throwing that word out. It's a conspiracy, as though somebody put together a thread on Reddit or on the dark web, and that's the reason why people just started believing everything. That is not true. It could not be further from the truth. So I'm going to recap for you what actually went down in France. It's important to know this. The press, as we mentioned yesterday, intentionally spun a tale of an irresistibly hot and bold Brigitte Macron, who was constantly pushing back against the conformity of her stale Catholic upbringing all throughout her life, okay? I'm actually going to read you verbatim some of the published lines from that time because it is funny. It's actually funny to read how much the mainstream media just lies to us all the time, okay? Quote, "Around the age of 14 or 15, Brigitte gets bolder. She swaps her navy blue uniform from the austere Sacred Heart School in Amiens, pleated skirt, sweater, and tights, for small shorts and a mini skirt. For a while, she can forget about her schooling, constrained by Catholic discipline." Here's another one. "She loves to dance at the surprise parties of the time. She wears tight miniskirts, and between 2 glasses of whiskey and Coke and wild rock and roll songs, she dares to flirt behind the curtains." Just imagine what is coming into your mind as I read these publications about her growing up, okay? Here's another one describing Brigitte as a, quote, "inveterate party girl in an ultra small kilt who was into rock dancing to the music of John Lee Hooker until dawn. A rather hectic adolescence, the opposite of the quiet Emmanuel." Another writer wrote, quote, "The youngest of the Trogneau family has always struck a chord with the public, with her contagious good humor, her taste for partying, and her often funny, down-to-earth way of speaking." Again, of course, the goal of all of that was to soften her for having seduced a 14-year-old Emmanuel Macron, right? Rather, we're supposed to imagine in our minds that Macron had simply hit the jackpot, right? He fulfilled the fantasy of every boy his age because he got to sleep with that hot teacher, okay? And they reinforce this narrative by inserting sometimes anonymous quotes from former colleagues of Brigitte and alleged classmates of Emmanuel. Again, what I'm about to read to you are real quotes that were published in the mainstream press about Brigitte's teaching days, okay? Quote, "Brigitte's class can't believe that the French teacher is celebrating her 40th birthday today. She looks so young in her short skirts and casual manner. To capture the attention of the most dissipated, the teacher has another less academic asset, her legs showcased in tiny skirts. Brigitte didn't wait to become the first lady to take great care of her appearance. Quote, "She was a pleasure to look at, not just listen to, always with perfect hairdressing, with makeup and perfumed," one student recalls. "The boys are seduced. The girls take her as a role model. All the high school students were in love with her," says Frederic from Emmanuel's class. And from her very vocal daughter, Tifon, the only child that seems to really defend Brigitte Macron, she included this, quote, "When I was a child, I was even jealous of all the students who wrote to her or called her at home." Then there is another teacher who spoke and went a little bit further. They said, quote, "Brigitte arrived at La Providence wearing mini tailleuse." That's like a mini skirt and with a jacket, right? A sports coat. "Beautiful, a pinup." One student stresses, "We were all in love with her." Well, you guys, if the mainstream media says it's true, I guess it's case closed. We might as well stop this investigation. What do you want? Hottie with a body. Man, I sure hope I look like whatever that was at the age of 40, with people drooling over themselves. But it didn't stop there. The case wasn't really closed because in 2018, okay, what happens next is a woman named Maëlle Brun, she was then the head of the celebrities department at the magazine Closer, published the quote unquote official biography of Brigitte Macron, which was entitled Brigitte Macron La Franchie, okay, which means in English, the freed woman. Look at that cover. Wow, she's free. Amazing. Look at that face. She's happy. She's glowing. And it was essentially really a book that was just a regurgitation, or rather a compilation of everything that I just said to you, everything that had already been published. And I'll tell you why this was immediately considered a departure from previous authorized biographies of a first lady or a president. And that's because there was absolutely no pictures provided of Brigitte Macron as a child, and there were no pictures provided of her as a young mother. In fact, the earliest picture, okay, in this authorized biography was from 1993, when Brigitte was already teaching by that time at the Providence School. So here it is. This is the earliest photo that they included. Wait a second. Okay. So the caption beneath that photo read, "Brigitte Ozier is 40. She's married. She's the mother of 3. She's quite appreciated at the high school where she teaches. She's about to make the encounter that will cause an upheaval of her life." Okay, so they just went ahead and decided to erase the first 40 years in this official biography. Then 6 months later, in June of 2018, a woman by the name of Virginie Lienhardt, who normally focused on creating documentaries about World War II and the Holocaust, essentially turned the book, a biography of Brigitte, into a documentary, which was entitled Brigitte Macron ou un roman français, which just means a French novel. And that was released on the France 3 channel. Now, I should mention to you that this is a government-owned channel, okay? It was created in 1969 by the Office of the President. This is like PBS, BBC. Okay, we are not in conspiracy land. This is a reputable woman, Virginie Lienhardt, who makes documentaries. And of course, documentaries are supposed to include a ton of photos. Think about whatever you were watching when you were coming up. For me, maybe Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera documentaries, just filled with photos when you are watching this and you're seeing their siblings and you're seeing them at Disney World and you're seeing them, doing whatever was normal for the time that they were growing up. A Michael Jackson documentary, right? Tons of photos and siblings. And by the way, I want to be clear, Virginie Lienhardt did have tons of photos. Just, almost all of them, again, from Brigitte's teaching days, beginning in 1986 in Strasbourg and ending in Paris in 2015. So I'm going to show you the photos that were in this documentary. First, just showing you this collage, actually, of all of the photos. There you have it. And Mark, I don't know if you need to take me out of that so they can see the full thing. Wait, okay. What's going on here? Because I was reliably informed that Brigitte Ozier was a hot, sexy pinup girl with irresistible legs who wore miniskirts, the kind of woman that the boys just couldn't look away from. I don't know, fellas, should I check the chat here? Are you guys, is it getting nasty in the chat? Because I'm not seeing it. I am just not seeing that teacher. Also, where are the miniskirts? Actually, she seems strangely to be wearing a scarf in a lot of these authorized photos. Why was she always covering her neck? That's kind of weird. Here, I'll give you guys some close-ups of that. Maybe you guys are not thinking she's hot. There it is, guys, fellas. Honestly, the guy to the left of her is better looking, in my opinion. I don't know what's happening here. More photos, maybe this one, guys. Guys are making some not nice faces here in the chat. Okay, we'll keep going. Maybe there's going to be some sexy pinup growers. The next one. Ah, there it is. Nope, there it is not. Skylar, are you only these are the ones from the documentary? Maybe my producer made a mistake. Wait, what? Okay, I don't know. I don't know where the pinup girl is. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I've let you down. Anyways, Virginie Linhart, the documentary maker, like I said, is well respected. So surely she must have tried to get many more photos before Brigitte's teaching years. If she is not a fraud, then that would have been the first thing she would have tried to do. Interestingly enough, she spoke out regarding just how difficult it was for her to make the documentary. She said, and I quote, "It's difficult to investigate Brigitte Macron, much more than I imagined, on the substance, on the form, on everything. As soon as I started making contacts, I was summoned by Pierre-Olivier Costa, Brigitte's chief of staff, and Tristan Bromet, Brigitte's other chief of staff. It was almost like a police interrogation. What do I want to show? Who will I be interviewing? I made a list of people that I wanted to meet, but I could not apply that list. The interviewees, apart from her former students, all had the authorization of the Élysée Palace and were very careful about what they said. There is a thick wall of silence. The level of control and checking is, well, quite astounding. My documentary is a 90-minute, very personal portrait. For it, I needed photographs of young Brigitte Macron, small children, that would show an itinerary, not those approved by Best Image Agency. What won't be released is anything to do with her former life. It's a total blackout." End quote. Oh, Best Image Agency. Now, didn't we just go over that yesterday? That's Mimi's agency that was authorizing the photos that were allowed to go out. So apparently, Mimi's agency authorized the photos that could go out for this documentary as well. Now, Virginie Linhart did, however, receive 2 photos from Brigitte's alleged childhood. One, the public was told, was from Brigitte, then Trogneau, would have been her last name, her first communion. I'm going to show you that photo. Here it is. And another photo, now infamous photo, of the entire Trogneau family, allegedly taken about a year after Brigitte's birth, okay? That is the full Trogneau family photo, which we will come back to. So now really all that was missing from that photo of her communion until the school photos, which appear in 1986, was 23 years of Brigitte's life, the most crucial years of her life. You know, like, I don't know, her being a teenager, her getting married at 21, her allegedly having 3 babies, her getting married to a banker named Andre Louis Ozier, who was her husband of 32 years. Like, I don't know. Do people not take photos of them and their husbands in France? I don't know. Virginie Linhart actually referred to Andre Louis Ozier, Brigitte's alleged husband of 32 years, as the French Republic's best kept secret. And certainly, you guys, it appeared that way. Because at the time that the documentary was released, there was only one photo that was available of her ex-husband that had even made its way onto Wikipedia as her ex-husband. There it is, Andre Louis Ozier. And you can see it has his date of birth, and it has his date of death, and it has the dates that they were married from 1974 to 2006. All of that is correct, except for the photo itself. Yeah, could you pull that up again? That photo, it turned out, was not actually Andre Louis Ozier, because a former student who had gone on to become a politician, his name is Francois Ruffin, also went to Providence School, and he came out and said, "That's not Andre Louis Ozier. That's Mr. Hugo, a teacher at the school. Oopsies." Whatever. But I gotta tell you, that oopsie did make the public think, what's going on here, man? This is kind of getting weird. It's a little weird, okay? And I have to tell you guys, there was some immediate feedback from the public. Some early musings, if you will, about the 2 photos, which had been released from Brigitte's alleged childhood. Foremost, the communion photo caused a bit of a stir, because many felt that it was a dead ringer, that photo, not of First Lady Brigitte Macron, who was side by side here, Brigitte Ozier and her alleged communion photo, they didn't feel like that was strong, but they did feel that it was a dead ringer for her very chatty daughter, Tefan. They thought that looks like Tefan, okay? And like I said, she was the only daughter, the only child of Brigitte that was willing to participate in the documentary. She was willing to speak to Virginie for like an hour. And like I said, it doesn't help that Best Image, the photo agency, had supplied the image. People were wondering, and I will include myself in this, was it perhaps edited? No. Mimi, as we learn later on, has been accused of a lot of forgery and stuff and all sorts of crimes, man. You got to look into Mimi Marchand. So it's not like totally crazy to wonder if maybe she's being used because she does play around a bit and she's willing to do crimes, you know? So yeah, it was in fact, my musings about that was one of the areas of nitpick, one of the areas that the Macrons had included when they initially sent me the first strongly worded letter, because I had claimed on a show dating back to March of last year that the photo was recolorized. I looked at it and I said, that photo looks too new. It looks like it's recolorized. Now and I was just getting into this bizarre story. And so I was just investigating, asking questions, reading other people's investigations. Now I'm a lot deeper on the facts, and I now know for a fact that that photo was not recolorized, okay? Similarly, at the beginning when I was trying to understand this case, I had asked Xavier Poussard about the theory, which a lot of people were wondering, which was, did the real Brigitte Trogneau die when she was a child? And did perhaps Brigitte Macron take her identity? Again, that was a theory that was floating around on the internet. And I now know for a fact that no, she did not die when she was a child. So let's go back actually and take a look at their first carefully worded legal letter to me. This is their repeat strategy. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. The way that they sue people, the way that they go after people in court is they ignore the substance of the claims. Substance being, was current First Lady Brigitte Macron born a biological male? It's a simple yes or no question. And instead of attacking that, they wait for people to make a mistake as they try to garner the answer. And of course, mistakes will be made. Of course, you could say this photo is recolorized and they go, boop, go after her. Go after her. If she suspects saying that Brigitte Trogneau died as a child, go after her. So this is the legal letter. We'll show you that. They wrote, your discrediting of these photos is not only without merit, but also internally inconsistent. In your episodes on March 11th and March 13th and June 17th, you claimed that the first communion photo is an altered image of Tefan Ozier. However, in your August 30 podcast, you agreed with Poussard that the photo depicts the real Brigitte Trogneau before she passed away at a young age, another falsehood. Now, I want to be very clear, Xavier Poussard has never said that Brigitte Trogneau passed away at a young age, but I may have asked him the question and was speculating about whether or not she passed away, which they claim is another falsehood. And then they say both hypotheses could not be further from the truth. Moreover, you allege that the first communion photo had been debunked repeatedly and that the press now states its attribution to Mrs. Macron was a mistake, but you have not cited any outlets or articles retracting the photo. Surely you would provide this devastating proof if you had it, but you do not. Okay. Doing a little dance there. Why do they not just simply state who the person in the communion photo is? Why not just say plainly, if you're going to write a legal letter, Candace, the person in this communion photo is not Tefan Ozier, and the photo is not recolorized, and it is in fact First Lady Brigitte Macron. They don't do that. They never do that. Why not also simply state what the truth is, rather than saying that the hypotheses are far from the truth? So of course, now we're like a year on, I'm now armed with a much fuller picture of what happened, what the truth might really be. And so my legal team, as you remember, included a very straightforward yes or no question back to them, back to the couple in good faith regarding the girl in the communion photo. I rewrote this, number 4. Is the little girl pictured in the communion photograph, allegedly from 1963, the Brigitte Macron that is currently married to President Macron? You guys know what happens next. No response. No response. They're angry. You said it was recolorized. You said Brigitte Trogneau had died when she was a child. That's defamation. That's defamation. But we can't tell you what the truth is. They knew by then, in terms of how specific my questions were getting, they knew that I was onto them, that I had worked through the investigation, that I had arrived at more correct conclusions, that I was doing less musing, okay? Not for a single second did we believe that they were going to answer our questions, and they have not yet. They just send us more letters and more ridiculous things where they don't assert what the truth actually is. Now, regarding the second photo of Brigitte's alleged childhood, which the documentary presented, let's take a look at it so you can understand what was so explosive about it. This full family Trogneau photo of them in Amiens, okay? Observations, again, were immediately made by the public. People are allowed to think. They are allowed to have thoughts. They are allowed to ask questions, okay? First and foremost, people thought they were being told that Brigitte is this little girl in the lap of her mother sitting here in the front. But the public, just quickly taking a glance here, thought, wait a second, Brigitte looks more like that little boy on the far left. And wait a second, who is that little boy on the far left? He's completely unaccounted for. Thus far, okay, leading up to this moment, despite so much press surrounding Brigitte, her life, her married life, her being a teacher, despite entire genealogical websites that were dedicated to her family, there was no mention on these genealogical websites or in the press of the boy on the far left, okay? So that became the dog that wasn't barking, okay? For clarity, there had been only one brother that was publicly accounted for, Brigitte's older brother. We'll show you a picture again. He is the one standing in the back. That is Jean-Claude. And the interested public were now being introduced suddenly to a second mysterious brother, and they would find out that his name was Jean-Michel Trogneau. We're going to take a brief pause here before I bring in Emmanuel Macron's strange story. First, just to throw it to one of our amazing sponsors, Preborn, because if you want to hear some great news, the abortion pill reversal treatment, which provides women with a second opportunity to choose, is bringing